We did it. Scamps be gone. Get
Well,
out.
not Scamps be gone. You want to know why Scamps not be gone? Because I had muted my mic right there. So, hey, we did it. We're
We
here.
did it. Again. Deja vu. Scamps be gone. Let's try that again.
Absolutely fantastic. Wow.
I feel like those summoners in the game when you see them and they're like, they're doing
Yeah?
that. Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
That's
We're just going to like cast summoning spells?
No, I don't want to summon more scamps. I want them to be gone.
Oh,
We don't
fair
want them
enough.
coming here. We want them leaving us alone.
That is fair.
Mm-hmm. But hooray, a
Wow,
live show.
that tavern ambience is really, really hot in my ears right
Ooh.
now.
Oh, I have none, so I can't tell
That's
you.
okay. It's yeah, I just gotta. So, for a little bit of context, OBS decided to completely just fall down inside of a deep well and just become a massive problem. So I had to restart the whole thing to get it to recognize new inputs that I'd put in. So that's why the stream had to shut down for a moment, and then I had to start everything back up. And then I ran into an issue with Bannered Mare not wanting to work properly for later on in the episode, because unfortunately these episodes do have to end, but we like to end on a nice high note. See what I did there? High note music, Bannered Mare. Yeah, cool, real great. So yeah, we got that all sorted. Here we are. We're sitting in the tavern. You got all the people behind us. They decided to be like, "Hey, what's up? We're gonna start talking now." Awkwardly silent for the longest time, and all of a sudden they just started talking.
It's probably because they're here after the Guild Summit.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, they were busy.
They were very busy.
They were busy until now. They've been out exploring Tamriel with their guildmates, or maybe looking for new guildmates. Yeah.
Hey, courting. Yeah. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world and when you are listening to us. My name is Toasted Peanut, and I am joined by my trusted friend and compadre, Gone Crazy, back soon.
Me.
You.
It me. It
It's
me.
you.
Tiny
It's
Buzz.
good.
It's me.
It is good to be back in the tavern. It's good to be live on Twitch. For those of you guys that are listening to the audio portion of this episode, did you know that you can find us live in the tavern while we record this with all of our shenanigans and
No
the
way.
hiccups and all the other fun stuff? If you head over to twitch.tv/LoreseekersESO, you can find us there and come and join us when we're live and listen to all the shenanigans on the stream. Don't say anything. I know what you want to say.
You're doing amazing.
I'm doing wonderfully. So, Bacon, it's been a while since we've been behind the mic and on the camera. What have you been up to, my good friend?
Oh man. Well, we did a tavern episode, you and me, like a morning reflections episode that we just released.
did.
What, a week ago? I think maybe a week and a half ago, something
I think
like
it went
that.
live on Sunday night.
Yeah. So, we did that. That was really fun because sometimes we love being in the live shows, but also sometimes it's really fun for you and I to just sit with each other and just have a back and forth and just be able to like pay attention to what each other is saying and not everything. Like I love doing the live shows, but they feel very different than when we do those sort of one-on-one tavern episodes. But anyway, we did one of those. I've been working a bit more on some housing. I have been chugging away a little bit at the Westfield story, even more. So that's good because I'm over halfway through. I'd say I'm probably about 60% through now. But I got a little bit sidetracked because there's been a couple things come out, like some things with update 45 and whatnot that we'll talk about. But I also did a release on the reading about Sister Chana. It's a meet the character.
Ooh.
And then on Monday, last Monday, when update 45 actually launched on PC, I did a stream that ended up being like 6 hours long. accidentally. I was like, oh yeah, I'll stream for a few hours and we'll like do some of the new dailies and see if we can get some of the drops. And Minwi Pro joined me because you had to work and I was less sad. We wanted you with us too, but that's okay. But yeah, Minwi and I ran through and did some of those dailies. Didn't get any pages then, but I did manage to pull that new glass instrument from one of the Miramore incursions, like within the first few hours. Stop shaking your head at me.
I
I have
cannot believe the level of RNG that you have with pulling
I have
style pages.
but I have bad real life RNG, like
That's
bad.
fair. That
I
is
have
fair.
really good in-game RNG and bad real life RNG.
Oh
Anyway, so I
man.
managed to pull that music instrument and I was like torn on whether to sell it or keep it, but I put it in my house. So for now I'm keeping it. And then
Amazing.
yesterday, you and Minwi and I actually did get a chance to run dailies together. And
Yeah,
we
we did.
ran for like just over an hour. You might want to finish Westfield before the next Lore Tavern. I know. But yeah, so we ran for a few hours and then again in my bacon RNG, I pulled not one, but two of the long Dawnwood fence pages. Don't give me that look. Yeah, but who did I give the other one to?
Me, and then I turned around and sold it for $1 million after.
Ugh, you're the worst.
I
Yes,
didn't
I
actually
gave
sell it
you.
for $1
You
mil.
didn't. You didn't. But I did give it to you because I had a double. And yeah. Then you tried to sell it immediately in chat, you dirty thief.
I did. I literally grabbed it and I turned around and I typed in chat, "Want to sell Donwood fence for 1 mil," and nobody said anything. And I was like, oh. I was kind of
I was
hoping that someone would be like, "I'll give you 500K." I'm like, sweet, I just doubled my money.
yeah.
So,
You turd.
but
Anyway,
yeah,
the only other thing I did was I started to work on that safe box achievement because there's some new dies that came out with update 45.
those dies are
And
amazing.
they are. I really, really like them. So we ended up going around and trying to work on that safe box achievement just kind of on our own for that. And beyond that, the last thing, and I showed it on that stream the other day, but I didn't prepare right now. Hold, please. Gotta get it without. There we go. Is our Extra Life gold medal came in.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so our gold medal from raising over $1,000 at Extra Life came in. This is the first time we've gotten a gold medal. So excited.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely
so
love it.
we got our gold medal with our cool little Extra Life logo and the controller with the wings, and it says the year on it. So we'll always remember that 2024 was the first year that we got the gold medal. And yeah. So it's been a little eventful. It's also mostly been a lot of working and wishing I had more time to play ESO. But I will say, because I've been off the last little bit, it's been a little bit easier to get back in game. Yeah. I also got this little beauty. What?
That sweet roll is like the size of your head. Is that how big
It
they are in
is.
game?
I wish. I don't think that that's how big they are in game.
Sweet roll.
Sweet roll. It's really fun. Minwi sent this to me and it says Elder Scrolls Online, and then when you flip it over, it actually has, I'm gonna see if this can show in the tag without me ripping it off in the camera. Ugh, failing.
I
It actually
love
says
it.
sweet roll with the weight and the value and restore 5 points of health.
You might want to
So,
eat that sweet roll.
no.
No.
I'm just gonna hug it. So
Absolutely
yeah, these are
fantastic.
really fun. If you were considering getting one of these from the store, they were just on sale. They might actually still be on sale. And it's actually really nice and well made. So I have my
Yeah.
sweet roll and my little Hermes Mora that sit in my chair and hang out when I'm not here at my desk. What have you been up to, Toasty?
Well, I'm free. I'm finally free. For
Thank
those
the
of you guys,
divines! I
oh,
got my friend back.
For those of you guys that have not been following along, I've been on this very unique and interesting winter shift where I start my day at 12:30 in the afternoon and I end my day at 9 o'clock at night. And for those of you guys that don't know, Bacon and I live on opposite sides of the continent, literally. So she's 3 hours ahead of me, and I'm 3 hours behind her. So when I got off of work, it was basically midnight, and you're like, I am pretty much falling asleep. Like, yes, those are baconing hours. That's when Bacon does her best work. But we didn't really get a lot of time to play any games together. And even in the morning, typically Bacon would be at work. So, but it's done for about 6.5 months, and then I'll be back on it again starting in November. So now I am finally getting back to a sense of normalcy. But I've been partaking in some of the events that have been going on lately. So we just finished up with White Strix Mayhem, which we mentioned in the last episode. And then, like you, I have been running around opening safe boxes in all the different areas so that I can actually get that die, because I did get a chance to preview the die during all three of them, during the PTS Cyrodiil event, because I created a character and I put those dies on my character, and that's how I know they looked amazing.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, my PTS character had the new dies on them, and they're freaking fantastic. So that's how I already got a preview of them, and they're 100% worth it. So, do you have by chance like what those 3 die achievements are on hand? Do you think you could dig them up?
Yep. Hold please 1 second, because I think I dropped them into our group chat, so I should be able to find them.
Fantastic. Well, while you're doing that, with the new dies drop with update 45, and I'm almost done those safe box ones, so the first one's almost finished, and then I've also been, like you said, farming with you and then on my own for the new pages in Westweald. So I've managed to snag a couple of them, but my RNG has not been as good as some people's RNG. Yeah. So. But yeah, it's been fun. So I'm glad that I'm actually able to start playing the game at regular hours with people and hanging out with my cool friends, because they're pretty chill.
Yeah, we missed you.
And we can actually do episodes again. Like we can do normal evening episodes during the week.
We can do normal things. Normal things. Hey, that's incoming, by the way. It's there. And yes, Dre is correct. It has to do with Mundus Stone, safe boxes, and other various activities.
Fantastic.
Pro tip. Well, first of all, the 10-year anniversary gold leaf die you obtain from the safe box looter achievement, which is looting a safe box in the zones that are all listed. That achievement actually is currently a little broken. You can actually get it done. You can get it done without doing all of them, and there are some things listed that like don't exist or very difficult to find because there's only one safe box in that zone. So just be aware of that as you're doing that achievement. And the other thing is there is an activity achiever achievement. That one we would need to like go and look at which actual activities it is, because there's a few different ones listed. It's like play a game of tribute. I don't remember what the other ones are. That's the one for some reason that stuck out in my head. But yeah, so there's activity achiever, and then the other one, is the Mundus missionary achievement. And that one, no, you cannot cheat and go to your guild house. You must visit all of the Mundus stones out in the world.
Wow.
Pardon me. Oof.
You are pardoned. So.
But yes, they're really nice dies, and they're a little bit of a grind, but they're not like super bad to get. So I would say if you have the time, just chip away at them slowly, and hopefully you'll get some nice new 10th anniversary dies that you can utilize for your characters.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing with these achievements, is that they're not achievements that are just going to go away at the end of a period of time. They're in the game. They're permanent. Like they're there. So you don't have to rush to get them done. So if you're one of those people that doesn't want to fight with other people trying to get like safe boxes or some of the things that are spawning in the overland, just wait a couple months. And people will they'll start to die down on the get it, die down. They'll start to die down on hunting for safe boxes and some of those spawnable items in the world, and your odds of actually finding them a lot faster will go up. So there are lots of add-ons for those of you guys that are on the PC side of things, and hopefully soon, those of you guys that are on current gen, new gen consoles, where you can actually filter the different items. So like I did it on mine, as I filtered safe boxes on my mini map so that I could actually see where they all are spawned. That's the harvest map add-on, and I would imagine they might have it coming to console maybe.
I'll talk about that later.
Okay, fair enough. There you go. So, but yes, you can call it cheating if you want for using the add-ons, but hey, add-ons are in the game. So, it's not cheating if it's in the game.
It's the same
Famous
as
last
looking at
words.
it on a website. It's just
It's
it's
yeah.
on your game.
Yep.
Just makes it a
Exactly.
little more convenient. And I think it's not everybody calls it cheating because it's been frustrating. But
Yeah.
that's okay. Soon,
Hey,
Caddy. Soon. I
the gap
promise.
between console and PC is about to close.
It is, and I'm so excited. I actually got a little information on that at the summit, and I was
Ooh.
super excited.
I'm excited. So, so this week on the episode, this time, we're going to discuss our thoughts on Update 45, the newest Loremaster archive, and the first ESO Guild Summit, which Bacon was able to attend and took mountains of notes about everything that happened. And I know that you
9
were so
pages.
excited. You were so excited to talk about it. So
I
there was a
am.
lot of really good info.
I won't talk about everything because there are things that I don't think are I don't want to say meant to be shared, but like they're things that I would rather not have come from us
Mm,
initially as content creators. They need to come from the development team, but like overall what the summit itself was about and what it meant to the community, I think is really important to communicate. As well as there are things that I'm definitely going to call out because they are important things that people have been wondering about, and it's
yeah,
good to have some answers to them finally. So, yeah.
fantastic. Well, let's jump over to some of the current stuff that is happening in the community. So we're going to jump over here and we're going to click on this little thing right here. And here we go. The first one that's in the list, I actually didn't put in, and I will put it in momentarily. But let's jump over to the Fallen Banners preview, and we'll talk about the 10th anniversary wallpaper in just a minute. So,
You got
yes,
it.
Fallen Banners preview. I need to click on it so that I can interact with it. There we go. Fantastic. So if you have been living under a rock or maybe a clamshell or busy smacking your head against Mundus stones and you didn't know, there is a new update. You're living under a sweet roll. There you go. You could be living under a sweet roll. There is a new update, Update 45, that was released just a few days ago. And in that update was 2 new dungeons and a bunch of new additions to the game. So like those we were talking about, the achievements and some changes and whatnot. But let's take a look and talk a little bit about the Exiled Redoubt Fallen Banners preview.
Yeah,
So I have to make this bigger. My
that's
old
okay.
eyes are not able to see
For
this.
your old eyes. You're so silly. For this one, I think we've done Lepseclusa before, so this is the second of the 2 dungeons. I have actually not played this dungeon yet, but I have run Lepseclusa. We ran it as a lore run on stream the other night, and I don't want to give too many spoilers because I know there's people that like to do stuff blind, so I feel like
Hmm?
maybe we don't do the details, but let's just kind of like gloss over this really quick.
Cool.
Um, Lepseclusa involves an Elder Scroll. This one involves a prominent Imperial noble house that fell sort of to this like minor nobility rank. So um, let's talk about Exiled Redoubt really quick. We won't get into mechanics or anything crazy, but I'll read a couple little bits and pieces from here. The Albus family was a prominent imperial noble house, but over the centuries, their once great family fell to the ranks of minor nobility, shares writer-designer Helena Watchhouse. This underground redoubt is the Albus's last fortress. It's a stronghold protecting their secrets and the hidden vault where the head of the house, Cato Albus, schemes in the dark. What is Kato's scheme exactly? You'll have to find out in the Exiled Redoubt dungeon. However, you'll be helped by a returning character, last seen investigating the Dread Cellar dungeon. She's now hard at work unraveling another mystery, an outbreak of missing Alliance soldiers. Soldiers from every Alliance and army are going missing in Cyrodiil, and their trail led Lucilla Caprenia right to the gates of the Exiled Redoubt. Lucilia is a familiar face, but if you don't know her, she's trained as an Imperial battle mage. She can hold her own. The Alba stronghold is filled with soldiers that sided with Cato and want to help him surgically gut each of the Alliance armies, warns the dungeon team product owner and senior content designer Shane Slama. These highly skilled individuals are capable of executing pinpoint raids on unsuspecting troops in Cyrodiil by using tracking hounds and atronachs. This includes iron atronach spiders, which are great for squeezing through tiny spaces and blowing up anything they come into contact with. Ooh. That's so cool. While these spiders sound like trouble, they can get even more dangerous when directed by Prime Sorcerer Van der Ellen, one of the dungeon's bosses and somebody familiar with Lucilla from their time at the Battle Spire. Prime Sorcerer Van der Ellen is a master at commanding the Iron Atronach spiders, and he doesn't hesitate to unleash a small army of them on you. He also has a flair for the dramatic by charging around on his flaming steed. It's a tough boss battle, but Lucilla's there to help and provide you with knowledge of how Van der Ellen fights. Stick with her, and you'll be one step closer to confronting Cato. So after that, the only thing it really shows off is the other, like some of the dungeon rewards. So there is a Exiled Goldenrod die if you do the Fallen Banner Scout, which means you complete both dungeons. And then there's also a new monster mask, of course, the 3 unique item sets that we get. And let's see, I think that's it. That's all it's listing. So, and then it talks a little bit about the 3 different types of gear that you get out of there.
Yeah.
I particularly loved the most ambiguous hint at a future event in Lepsaclusa. Dre said, yeah, the dungeons are nice. Ooh, are you doing the look around thing?
I just realized that this is the first time I think we've ever seen them do the
No.
interactable. No, they've done it
Nope.
before?
They have done this for the past few dungeon previews. So you can actually click on the website. That's actually why I added this in here, because I wanted us to be able to do that, but I forgot until you just started doing it. So if you
Except
click
that was
on
terrifying.
the actual page, you can like rotate around and actually look at one of the main rooms in the dungeon, which is really fun. So I know we've talked
cool.
Yeah, I know we've talked about this a little bit before when they did the initial update 45 like live stream stuff. So we sort of talked more about the dungeons there, but I just thought it was nice to give a refresh really quick on Exiled Redoubt since they just dropped this right before the actual update with some new visuals, which is pretty cool.
Love it.
Booch said he ran both on Vet this morning. Nice.
Oh, fantastic. Nice.
I have only done normal Lepsaclusa, but it was because A, we were on a stream, and B, we just wanted to do it for a lore run, so we didn't want to like have to really focus heavy on mechanics initially, but I wonder how the gap is between them. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, I have not run either of the new dungeons yet, so I know.
Oh,
Actually,
man.
this is where you're gonna kind of make fun of me a little bit, but
I'm not gonna make fun of you. I just want to get in there
I
with you
haven't
because I want you to run them.
The dungeons from the last update either.
Yes, you have. We've done them
Nope.
together.
Nope.
You haven't?
Nope.
Really?
I haven't run new DLC dungeons since
You did the one
Blackwood.
with the bug. No, that's not true. You did Bal Sunar. You did
I did
the
do
bug butt
Balsonar. Yeah,
one.
that's right. Yeah, I did. Oh, sorry. So I haven't run the stuff that came with Telvanni.
Dre said solo on vet hard mode right now. Just, bro, do you even ESO? You know what's funny? I think there was a sound clip of that from our last stream when we did the Tavern together. Fake ESO event lead. Shame. Hey, you know what?
Shame me. I'm busy playing Tales of Tribute, okay?
And creating content. We're busy keeping things going.
Oh my goodness.
We don't get time to actually play the game. We just look at the game longingly.
Yeah. I look at the games for information of things that I can talk about when we do our content creation. Hashtag content creator problems.
Hashtag Guildmaster Online.
That too, yeah. You
Yeah.
guys need to stop causing so many problems so I can play the game.
Oh my gosh, our guild
Just
is
kidding.
listen, let me tell you, I've learned a lot of things in the past 24 to 48 hours, and that our guild is pretty chill. That's that. Our guild is
And we need to
pretty
spice
chill.
things up a little bit.
Nope, nope. I
So
like it nice and nice and
let's
quiet, please.
let's move on and talk a little bit about update 45 and some of the changes that are coming to the next round here. So Fallen Banners lives. Well, I want to hide this one. That's the one I want. Fantastic. Fallen Banners and update 45 are now live on PC and Mac, with the console release coming on March 26th for Xbox and PlayStation. So you guys have to wait a little bit longer, but another, 11 days? 11 more days.
That's fine.
So,
I can do that.
all right, let's talk a little bit about update 45 and what changes. So obviously we just did talk a little bit about the Fallen Danners? Fallen Danners? What? Why did Dan fall?
The fallen dancers.
No. We just talked a little bit about the Fallen Banners dungeons. Both dungeons that come up are available now. However, there is a specific thing to mention about this as you dance in the background there for me. Thank you very much. The two dungeon packs, as mentioned in a previous episode, they are available at their launch dates for people that have an active ESO Plus membership, with the ability for them to be purchased in the Crown Store and gifted in the Crown Store sometime following the console release.
After April 10th, I think, is actually
that
what
what
the
kind
last
of
few things that have been said were.
Okay, there we go. Oh, there it
So,
is right there. It says, yeah, direct on after the ESO Direct on April 10th. Perfect. So,
sometime after that.
yeah. So, no fret. It is coming. You will be able to purchase it with crowns. You'll be able to gift it with crowns in the future, just not at launch. You have to have an active ESO Plus to do that. Everyone has their mixed opinions. We're not going to get into that discussion. We discussed that in a previous episode. If you want to know our discussion on it, go ahead and listen to that episode, because it was a very long conversation. That was a long conversation.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was nothing. We didn't talk for well over an hour on that. It was fine.
Fallen Banners. Gather your party for 2 challenging new PvE dungeon experiences, Lepseclusa and Exiled Redoubt. Unlock new achievements, earn new rewards, including item sets, collectibles, and more, as you fight to preserve what little peace remains in the war-torn region of Cyrodiil. I'm not going to go into the descriptions about Lepseclusa and the other one. We're going to just skip past these ones, Exiled Redoubt. New dungeon loot, we already talked about that, but let's get started here. At launch, you can access the Fallen Banners dungeon pack with the ESO Plus membership, just like we mentioned. You can access the 2 new dungeons by teleporting directly into the dungeons from your map by using the Dungeon Finder tool, or by visiting the specific dungeon entrances within Hugh's Bane, which is where Lepseclusa is, and Westfield, which is where the Exiled Redoubt zones are. Update 45 base game patch. There is a starter zone refresh. If you guys remembered my really cool graphics that I made on our last episode when we were live, and I showed them off in the stream. Yeah, so that's now the thing that's live.
Let me tell you what. I went to
Tell me what.
Canarthy's Roost on the stream the other day. Whoa. It's pretty. It's really pretty. Hold, please. Let me see, actually, because I think can you drag a picture over into that window, or is that too hard?
Into what window? Sorry.
Like, so that everybody can see it?
Yes.
Hold, please.
Well, kind of.
Okay. If it's going to be too big of a problem, we don't have to do it, but
Drop it in the notes. Put the picture in the bottom of the notes, and then I can do it that way.
Okay.
But
Let
I
me.
can say, just while you're grabbing all that kind of stuff, I did visit Canarthy's Roost, and I did visit one of the other starter zones. One of the biggest things I noticed, if you have played the game from launch and you'd been in the starter zones quite frequently, they're always very bright, and just the shading, and it really realistically it was the shading. The shading alone made it look very washed out. It actually has proper shadows and effects. Things cast the right shadows. It's a lot more subtle. The zone is a little bit softer on the eyes. The textures on all the boats are like Gold Road, like the boats that you found in Gold Road. Like, they're very detailed. They actually have proper definition to them. They're not the base game stuff. So I'm really, really excited for them to go through the base game zones now and start refreshing those, specifically the wonderful city of Volkelgard, which in my opinion is probably one of the more detailed coastal towns in the game, with the exception of obviously Hot Isle and Aminos. Yeah, definitely go and take a peek at that. Ooh, you put 2 in there. Is
Dre's
that before and
Dre's
afters?
Dre. No, they're the same one. It's just slightly panned. But Dre's right. The boats aren't in Gold Road. The boats are on High Isle.
Yeah, okay,
Unless
fair
someone
enough.
dropped
Sorry.
boats in the middle of the Westfield.
Who knows? Sorry, yes. I will correct myself. Yes, Dre, you are right. It was High Isle that I was referencing.
Yes.
For some reason I think Gold Coast when I think High Isle, or sorry, yeah. So, okay, let me grab the image.
Sorry, we're doing it on the fly a little bit. I just was so taken with the lighting the other night when walking through Canarthy's Roost, and the draw distance, like the clouds and the way you could see everything in the like further back. It was just so beautiful. It was gorgeous. So if you haven't been there, go there. Or go to any of the base game zones. Like those starter islands, they've all been refreshed. You'll notice a lot more stuff on the beach. You'll notice a lot more, like, just the lighting is spectacular. So he's got his,
Incoming.
he's got his thinking face on.
I've got my troubleshooting face, so I have to hang on. No, I can do this. Image.
While you're doing that,
Go for it.
let me look at what else is on the bottom of this. Oh, actually, you know what? I know what I will talk about that
I got
we
the
don't
image.
really need pulled up. And that is currently during March, there is also a 2025 free play event. Oh, there it is. You did it.
It's a little grainy because the quality from downloading it, but
Yeah, that's okay. But just the
yeah.
lighting, you can already tell that the ambient lighting from distance is way different. Like you
Oh
can
yeah.
see so much more in the buildings and stuff than you could previously. Oh my gosh, Strauss Mackay greater than Canarthy's Roost. Cough, cough, says Dre.
You take that
I
back.
ha- I haven't been there yet, so I don't know. I just went to Canarthy's because I was actually doing the safe boxes there, which is why I ended up there. But I will go take a
Oh
peek
man.
at Strauss Mackay. Dre, I
At
promise.
some point.
At some
At some
point.
point.
Anyway, what I was saying is there is a free play event actually going on right now as well. So if you are a person who, yeah, March.
Oh. I didn't know it was on now. I thought it was coming up.
I think it's until the 20th.
Oh, there you go. You got 5 more days. Go get a free account.
Yeah, so you can go to the free play page, you can get your preferred platform, and then you can either start the game for the first time and see some of these new base game updates, or if you previously played and you absorb most of your Elder Scrolls content through other means like Skyrim or whatever, and then you just play when these free plays are happening, you would pick up exactly where you left off at. And another fun fact, not that it gets you a ton in the store, but they do sweeten the deal and give you 500 free crowns if you have a new account created during this free event period.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
could gift myself something with a free account.
Oh my gosh,
No, you can't because the gifting option be turned off.
Correct. Wow. Folks, that's what happens when you give someone a style page or a praxis and they turn around and try and sell it immediately in the chat.
Yep.
You just saw it there for real life again.
Yep.
Anyway.
What I do.
Yes. So the
Won't
other
make
thing
other
too
stuffs.
is after the free play event is over on the 20th, guess what? You don't have to be done playing the game because it is stupid cheap right now. You can purchase the
Yeah, it
base game
is.
on like every platform. I think like 60% off at the moment. I think like
Yeah.
$4 or $5 on
Last
Steam or
last
something.
ad that I've seen, we're saying it's up to 90% off.
Yeah, so it depends on where you're buying, but right. And if the last game you've played happens to be the Elder Scrolls Adventures Redguard, then Stros Mackay will be familiar. Lore dump. There you go. $2.99 US currently, Cording says. So get in
Wow.
there. If you've never played or
$3.
if you're on the fence and you're like listening to podcasts about Elder Scrolls and you've come across us,
Like this one?
yeah. Well, if
Oh,
you've come
okay.
across us and you don't play, come be friends with us.
We want to be your friend.
For less than $3, you can be our friend.
For less than $3 for less than a cup of coffee, you could be our friend in ESO.
That's right. You could buy ESO twice currently for one large coffee drink.
Oh man.
I'm doing great.
Oh, you're doing
Anyway,
fantastic. You're
free
doing
play through the
wonderfully.
20th. Go do it. Come join us. The end. Carry
The
on,
end.
Mr. Toasty Peanut.
Oh man. All right. So we have our Cyrodiil Champions PC and Mac test coming up very soon. So ESO's Alliance War veterans can help this team test future changes and iterations on the game's open world PvP with a PC Mac only test called Cyrodiil Champions. This was the one that was previously called Vengeance, correct?
Yes.
Okay. With the goal of improving stability and performance in Cyrodiil and perhaps other environments. That was put in brackets. Look for a special Alliance War campaign called Vengeance to participate from March 24th to the 31st, 2025. So what that means is the Cyrodiil live servers are going away for a week, and instead they're giving us the Cyrodiil Vengeance campaign. And the Vengeance campaign, they're basically giving everybody, if I recall, they're giving everybody like cheap ballistas and like just leave it. They're like, you don't need to pick it up, just stick it down, use it, and then leave it behind. They're like, there's no AP spending happening during this campaign. Like, you don't need to spend any AP. They're basically throwing everything at you. So just go have fun is what they want you to do. And this, I think, is to entice other people to come in that are like, I wouldn't spend my AP and go waste all my ballistas. They're like, no. We're just going to give you all this stuff for free. Just go play the game.
I think
So,
too that the hope is they want to like try and, as bad as it sounds, they want to try and break it as much as possible. Like they want to break it. I know that sounds
yeah.
weird, but they want to see how it's going to hold up with all of that stuff. So go in there. You looked at the templates and stuff. What did you think? Did you like really play with that on PTS or no?
I didn't touch. There were no templates on PTS. When I did that
Oh,
test, it was purely a stability test at Robeck, because
okay.
Robeck tends to be a problem area in Cyrodiil for desync and crashing and lag.
Yeah.
So they had us basically just sit there and like just keep sieging the poop out of the keep is
Yeah.
what was going on. So yeah, it was live server style play, but just only combating at Robeck that one time.
Right. Yeah, Booch says, I
Uh,
think technically they want to see that it doesn't break like it normally does. Yes, I agree. I guess I was just saying they want to push it to the max of what would normally cause things to go awry.
exactly. Yeah. So definitely, if you're interested in that, join up and participate in that. Gordon was just saying here in the chat is that the other servers apparently will still be there. There'll just be an additional campaign called Vengeance So hopefully that is the case. I don't know 100%, so I'm not going to say that is or isn't the way it is going to be, but very possible maybe they are just leaving the other servers there. So fantastic. General changes and improvements. Along with the above, update 45 also boosts mount starting speed, overhauls the craft constellation to ease micromanagement, and introduces a general UI cleanup of the in-game map to help improve readability. I will translate that in just a moment. It also moves the game's disguises out of the inventory and into your collections and improves the visibility of Mundus Stone boons. Whew. So I'll break that down and kind of give you a bit of a deeper explanation. So in the crafting constellation, that's the green tree in your champion points menu, they have removed the slotability of a bunch of different skills that you would spend your champion points on. They're now passive. So if you are jumping back into the game for the first time in the last couple months, first thing you need to do is go into your champion points and reslot new slotables in your green tree. They didn't reset the CP tree like they have in previous champion point overhauls. It's just they've changed the requirement of the individual selectable. It's now not something that slots, it's just passively available, which is awesome. There were some really good passives that we just gained that a lot of people were putting in there, and they were just like, these are redundant and we're just gonna make them passive. So check it out, take a look at what's in there, and you're gonna have to reslot a few new slotables, but that means that you can have a little bit more freedom in your green tree and add more things in there to give yourself a bit of a PvE boost of sorts. They have improved mounts. It's not as much as you think it is if you've been playing this game and you have maxed characters. If you have a maxed out mount, nothing really changed. You're basically the same. But what they've done is they've made the mount speeds better for new players and non-upgraded mounts. So if you have a mount that you're working on training, no longer are you going to be the slow person. Just basically, you could run faster than the mount kind of situation. You actually have a bit more speed now, and it's actually a lot easier to be a starting player when you're running group events. And then the disguise or the in-game map. This is a big one. Bacon, do you want to talk about the in-game map because you recently just got something sorted on that?
Yeah. Well, sort of. I mean, it kind of fixed itself. I didn't have to really do too much, but it was funny. The first day, one of the big things they were talking about is when you open up your map, it's going to be fantastic because you're only going to see 1 or 2 way shrines per zone, and they're going to be the most commonly used ones. And then you can also toggle like which houses you want to show up to the max of 100 or, you know, whatnot. And I opened it on the day that update 45 released, and every way shrine was showing, and it was just looked like everything had been thrown up
Looked
all
like
over
base
them.
game vanilla.
It looked like it looked like nothing had changed, and I was like, what? I don't understand. And apparently it had to do with Minimap and the add-on for Votan's Minimap and toggling things on and off. It never bugged me to see that many way shrines. I guess I like a little bit of chaotic clutter on my map or something. I don't know. I just was like, oh well, I'll just zoom in. But then the following day or two, it was fixed right after that. So now if you open your map, it's nice and clean. And my absolute most favorite lore, wonderful, thank you, devs thing is the zone names. Thank you. Thank you so much. The zone names appearing are just, so nice. I love it.
Yeah.
No longer do I have to have a tired, sleepy moment of why am I on the wrong side of the map in the wrong alliance looking for a zone, because it's
Why
there.
I'm in Stormhaven and not Stonefalls.
Yes. Yeah. Dre says, good luck going to Galen like that before. Like when you look and Galen's just like, these are all the way shrines are like, you're like, which one do I click on? You have to like
you
zoom in.
can't even zoom into Galen to get into the small, like the zoomed in map because there's so many way shrines. That was one of the reasons why I downloaded Votan's map, because I was like, this is frustrating. Because I had all the way shrines unlocked at that point, and I'm like, this is frustrating. I can't even get into the Galen map to find the way shrine that I need to get to. This is a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So
It's funny
thank you, Zos, for
on
fixing that.
yeah, on controller UI it wasn't ever too bad. I just went over there, just went click 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 and it like zoomed me in
Yeah.
3 times. But that's you still have to like search around for which one you wanted to go to. So it's really nice now to just have the one that you can just hop to and then boom, it's done.
Yeah.
So really, really nice quality of life changes to the map. And I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't realize how nice it was going to be. Like to just quickly be able to select from the big map, now a few of those way shrines, which is really nice.
And those way shrines that are available to those are the way shrines for the primary cities in each of those zones. So if you're somebody who hasn't actually unlocked an area to go and explore, you'll have the way shrine available to go and start your story quest in that zone and start doing your questing and whatnot in those individual places. So,
Yeah, one other thing that was brought up in chat that I actually forgot about, which is really nice. Quest markers, like for main quests, now show up as well on the Tamriel map. So you don't have to be like searching around or like you can still use the zone guide and have it direct you to the next step, but it will also actually show that little, like the diamond marker for quest guidance on the big map, which is really, really nice.
yeah. And then they've made some improvements to the Mundus Stone boon visibility. I guess I didn't know this was an issue. Okay, go for it.
Okay. No, say what you were going to say, and then I'm going to agree with you, but also tell you how nice it is to see it now.
So I didn't know it was an issue. I've always just gone to my character menu and looked at what boon I had active, and that's how I found out. But apparently this changes that now.
Yes. So I think what was happening is once they added the armory system, sometimes people would like toggle off and on certain stones, or they would forget things, or like accidentally overwrite something and forget to put a Mundus back on, things like that. And what this does now is I know in the controller UI, it's like right at the top. So if I hit my inventory and I open up, it's like right at the top of my inventory. It says Mundus, and then it will say like the thief or the lover or whatever. So it's sitting right at the top of everything above all your character stuff so that you can literally instantaneously see that you have one active. It's
Okay.
really nice when you're swapping builds to make sure that you haven't accidentally overwritten or done the wrong thing. Because I guess there were some people who were running around and didn't have Mundus active. So I don't know.
Yeah. I
But
would call this just a
a
quality of
win.
life
Quality of
change.
life
Yeah.
win.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's
Absolutely.
one of those things where I agree with you. I didn't really know it was an issue because I personally never had that issue.
Neither did I.
But I think it's a great update that shows it as sort of an at a glance, is what I'll call it.
Yeah.
Like if you open up, it's right there. I have not checked it in the actual PC UI, so I don't quite know where it shows on that, but I can tell you that it's very easy to see right at the top of the character sheet and the inventory sheet on controller, or using a controller, I should say, on the PC.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad that they kind of are looking at smaller things like that too and being like, hey, let's make some fixes here with some of these small little UI changes. So I can't imagine that's a very difficult thing to fix. It's not like they're asking people to completely overhaul the Mundus system. It's just like, no, we're just making it easier to see it by putting a little tag that says Mundus right there in your UI.
Dre says it's currently just below the attributes on the right on the PC UI.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So it's visible now. It's there's actually a place to look at it, which is good. So fantastic. And then one of the big things is if you're like me and you always run around with a pocket full of stuff, endless amounts of stuff, well, if you held on to all those disguises that are there, they're now going into the collections menu. Now, not all of them have moved over
Thank
to the
you.
collections menu, but a very large portion of them have, and I imagine they will fix some of those disguises that didn't move over. They'll move over. So if you're playing the story, and let's say, for example, you're running through and you're doing the main story for the Old Mary Dominion, and you go to the part where you have to do something to do with being disguised as a what are they again? Sea elf? Malmer?
Malmer?
the Malmer on the island,
Yep.
you got a disguise. And you had to wear that
Or a
disguise. Well,
sea
in
viper.
the Sea Vipers, that was the one. Yeah. So you had to wear that disguise, and when you were finished it, the disguise would just stay in your inventory and it would not go away. You had to delete it. You couldn't sell it, you couldn't get rid of it. Now that disguise comes out of your inventory, giving you free inventory space and goes into your collections menu. So if you ever want to just walk around disguised as a Malmer, well, now it's just in your collections menu and you can disguise yourself as a Malmer. So that's kind of nice if you've done a lot of the story questing and you've held on to a lot of those different costumes. You can discover more about the updates and features in this. There's a preview blog that you can find in the actual information section of the update 45 piece on the website, and then for everything arriving in, as part of the base game patch, you can find it on the patch notes on the official forums. So don't forget, the update 45 base game patch is free for all ESO players and is downloaded automatically at launch. So you don't have to pay for it. It's not an addition. It's free. Everybody gets it.
Hip hip.
Hip hip hooray! So now we're going to move on to
Is your Alfique causing problems? Because my one Alfique is being very vocal just over here in the corner.
She just stirred in her bed beside me, so I was just concerned because she was just sleeping. And now she's yawning.
My Alfique companion is standing here going, staring at me.
Pay attention to me. Alrighty, I'm just pulling up the interact option for this next section and we'll get into it. This is talking more about... That's not the one I wanted. This is the free play. We'll quickly just breeze over this.
We
did just mention it. We did do that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Is there anything else in here that we need to... Nope, nothing else we need to talk about. Cool, nope. Moving on. Next.
Wallpaper.
Loremaster's Archive.
Or that.
Oh, yeah, wallpaper. That's right. Okay, I'll let you talk about the Loremaster's Archive, and I'll get the wallpaper ready.
Okay, that sounds great. So, a new Loremaster's Archive came out as well, and I'm actually not going to talk too much about this because, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, I may have used some of the lore things out of this for our lore lesson that's coming in just a little bit. But this was another Loremaster's Archive on the Elder Scrolls and on Moth Priests. And so Sister Chana, who was the Meet the Character that came out a few weeks ago, did some more of answering questions from the ESO community about the Elder Scrolls and about the Moth Priests that guard them. So there is some really fun stuff in here. There is a reading or where is it? Goodness, I have to find it now. There's a sort of reading or poem or section that could be a unconfirmed Udhendra Nibanu piece from Topol the Pilot, which is really, really fun. There's a couple of other questions about, the trees and the moths and how people spin things, or do they keep pet moths? And there's just a lot of really fun information about Elder Scroll origins, as well as, the names of Elder Scrolls, things like that. So it's a really great Loremaster's Archive. It might make your brain explode just a little, but not in a bad way. I think it depends on your knowledge of stuff. Yes, the Hermaeus Mora story is cool, and I'll come back to that later. So I really, really liked a lot of this. It also talks about the blindness of the Moth Priest and if it's inevitable, things like that. So is that a limitation on our mortal eyes, or are there limitations for other reasons, etc.? So definitely give it a read. We'll make sure that it's in our show notes for people. But like I said, I don't want to go too far into it just because I am going to use some of those readings in our story. Hopefully I do them justice in a bit of a way. But yeah. So if you want to know more about the Elder Scrolls, You want to know more about Moth priests themselves and sort of what their origins are potentially, or more about how they take care of the moths and how they take care of listening to the Furins, then you can look at that. Plus another mention of whatever Gabrielle is up to. Yes! I forgot. That does happen. They do say that Sister Chana is here because it says Gabrielle is still away on important business, so it falls to me to continue the university series. The correspondent today is Sister Chana, a woman of few words, so in fact, she mostly sent along text from the long history of the cult's past to answer the questions. So, Dre says, I'm guessing it might have to do with whatever the next prologue is going to be about, since she's with the Mages Guild. I think there's a very good chance of that as well. We'll just have to find out. I guess April 10th. We'll have
April
to see.
10th.
April 10th.
Fantastic.
So, there you go. Loremaster's Archive.
Okay.
Take a peek if that's your thing, which hopefully if you're here with us on the Lore Seekers, maybe you're a little interested in. Maybe. I don't know. Call me crazy.
You are crazy. Alrighty, let's take a look at this. This is the 10-year anniversary. Backwards.
This wallpaper is currently on my desktop and I love it
Yeah, it would
so darn much. So darn much. There was a live stream on this too. So they actually sat.
Yeah, they did do one.
Yeah, they sat down and spoke with the artist. He's done quite a few things for ESO over the years, different concept arts and renderings and things like that. Some of them were used for, you know, releases and whatnot. But this one was a few years in the making and originally was only supposed to have like maybe 10 figures in it, 20 at the max, and it ended up with 70.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think he said there's like between 50 and 70. I didn't get to watch the whole stream, but I think he said there's between 50 and 70 different people gathered in this 10th anniversary wallpaper. And the fun part about it is personally for me, looking at it, is how much research went into the interactions of all the characters in the actual picture. And who's interacting where and what you can infer from their body language, I think is really, really awesome. And I love that it's in this sort of setting of a tavern or this longhouse. To me, that's what we love. And that's the sort of community and camaraderie that we try and emulate here with our guild and with our show. And I love that that's being brought kind of forward in this new artwork for the 10th anniversary. So, so cool. So, so cool. Look at you on the fly.
Just trying to work it out.
Putting it behind us so that people can see it. Booch says, I'm here for the slapstick humor, not the lore. Okay.
We have slapstick humor? That's a thing?
I mean, we are pretty crazy. We do like to make fun of each other.
This is true.
Just
this is very true.
But, yeah.
Is that Sai Sahan and
Lyris? It is.
And he's got a lily in his hand?
He does, because he calls her Snow Lily.
Yeah, it's a snow lily.
I think one of my favorite interactions is front and center. You know who it is?
The Alfique right there?
No, but I do love her. Drunk Alfique right in the front. Yeah, she's pretty great. No, I love Roz and Naryu. Those two?
Oh, yes.
Up to no good. You know it. You know they're up to no good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and then you got Codwell in the corner playing his broken lute.
Yeah, we got Fenorian. There's all sorts of... We got Darian
Raziu.
Darian with his bread loaf. And
Casta in the corner.
Casca. Do you see the monkey that's being lifted up above Casca's head by Ember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ember's causing all sorts of trouble. And then you've got... Did you see that Bragas and Maik are playing a game of Tales of Tribute? Mike the Liar plays Tot.
This is fantastic.
It's so good when you really start to look into the details. Like, they're supposed to be, I think they have a 4K version already on the website, but if not, they talked about releasing it. But if you can get a high res version, which I
Oh
know is difficult here to see on a stream, so we don't need to do that. But if you zoom all the way in, like in the very, very back at the foot of the stairwell, is the two characters that are standing and talking about the dragons in your homeland. What are you going to do? And the poster between them literally says dragons in your homeland.
yeah.
Just like
is
little
that
East.
is that the auger
Yeah, I think the auger's in here as well. Yes,
right there?
someone's holding the auger.
Yeah,
Yep.
right there in the middle. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah, so there have also been some wonderful ESO lore hounds and fans. I don't know if it was someone from UESP or someone else, but someone actually went through and labeled every one of these characters. So you can
Wow.
simply search for that in the Google box and find it. And you can actually look at who each of the characters are. I love Evely, like up on the shoulder in the back, and then Gwendis is over sitting on the bar, just kind of observing everybody. The vampires are in the corner over here. Like, it's just there's so many fun little things. You have all the alliance leaders as well together in different places. Just good stuff. Stuga is literally chasing someone up the stairs. Like, it's so good. It's
Do
so
you know
good.
how long I've been looking for you?
She's like, wait, you guys made me stand
Let
still.
me see if I can zoom in on this. Hang on.
Yeah, that's Stuga. I'm pretty sure back there. Yeah, she's back in the back.
That looks like Stuga.
Yeah, Lady Clarice Laurent is holding the auger. Yes, she's chasing Bastion with cheese. It's amazing.
I love
It's
it.
amazing. There's so many
Fantastic.
good, so many good details in this. So many good details. And from the
Definitely go
banners
take
that
a
are in the
look.
back to the shields. Like, please, I'm telling you, I'm begging you. I'm begging you, go look at how cool this is. It was a really great piece of artwork that I think the art team um, did a great job with.
Oh,
So
they did.
the choices that were made and Lucas Leminski's stuff that he did, so well done. So well done. One of the coolest thing they showed on stream, and I think I took a screenshot of it, but I don't remember where it is, so I'd have to look for it. But he actually had plotted out all of the characters, like the main characters that they wanted in there, and how they spiderwebbed into each other, which was wild. So that's how they selected sort of where in the wallpaper they were going to be at. So it was how things kind of overlapped with each other, I think,
Yeah.
is where he determined what he brought to the forefront and then what he left, back in the background a little bit, and how those interactions were happening, which was really, really cool. So it's good stuff. If
This is
that
awesome.
stream, if you have a chance to go back and watch that stream, I would highly recommend it. He also showed some of the original versions of what the layout was going to be when there were less characters in it, as well as different places. So at one point they had talked about it being in an alien ruin. They had talked about it being in this sort of longhouse, which is where it ended up. They had talked about it being, I feel like it, if I remember correctly, like a camp almost, like out in the open, where everybody was just sort of meeting, almost like a peace treaty or a peace talk, like that sort of thing. So in that version, I think the alliance leaders were a little more prominent, and maybe the three heroes, stuff like that. There's just some really, really cool background information on art and design, and also how that team works together to sort of determine which things are going to be important for these releases that they do, whether it be a wallpaper or a release that is going into the website to tell us about lore, or, a release that's giving us crown store pictures, stuff like that. It was really fun to hear that side of things, because those are sort of the hidden things in development that we don't always get. And I think it was great to have that.
Definitely. I do love that they took it and they put it in a tavern at the end of it all, because I think that was really that really speaks to the community. Is like, at the end of the day, you got all your different factions, your different people and all that, and they all get to go into a tavern and be the community that they are together. So I think that's a really good representation. So I love that. Moving on, this is the butter on the bread right now of stuff to talk about for this episode too. The butter on the sweet roll.
The icing on the sweet roll.
The icing on the. You're just on point today with all of the references.
I just really like
I know.
it's very soft.
All right, everybody,
Sorry.
if you get a chance to on PlayStation and PC NA, if you could send a bunch of sweet rolls to Gone Crazy Back Soon or Gone Crazy Back SN on PS because of character limitations, as she
Well,
says
it's
so
that
often.
way. It's that way on PC too. So
Yeah,
if I open up my account and I have a full mailbox of sweet rolls, I'll die.
yeah. Please send all the sweet rolls to at Gone Crazy Back SN.
Wow. Wow. Jeez. Yeah. So the exciting thing that we got to be a part of just a few days ago, we got to be a part of, as far as I know, the first ever Elder Scrolls Online Guild Summit, which was
Mm-hmm.
really, really fun. I think it was a great sort of bring together for the community itself, for guild masters who were interested in sort of networking and exchanging information, what some best practices were, as well as touching base with the development team on some of the things that they're hopefully looking into for the future of not only guild management, but just ESO, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Most of what I'm going to share, I would say, is, well, the thing
Grain of
that I
salt.
think was say what?
Grain of salt.
Yeah, grain of salt for sure. There are things that I'm going to share that are grain of salt things, but also one of the things that I found most interesting was actually from the guild survey that went out, I believe it was last year during this time. So there was a guild survey that, and this is one of the things that Rich talked about, by the way, because
Mm-hmm.
during this, there were about 260-ish people, I would say, present, which is a pretty strong number. And that's with only one representative from each guild, as far as I know. So about 260 people were there. Rich started out talking with all of us and just kind of welcoming everybody, as well as Gina and some of the other devs that were present. And he talked about this survey that went out last year about guild and community and just what some of the most interesting responses were. So, one of the things was that the vast majority, about 90% of people that responded to this survey, were people who are in multiple guilds, and within those guilds, there was more than 100 members. So,
Wow.
those are people that are committed to being in communities and people that are committed to being in guilds. The reason that was the number one answer for why people were in those guilds was shared interests, which makes sense, right? People are interested in trials, or they're interested in lore, or they're interested in RP. It makes sense. That's generally why I would say people join guilds. Discord, of course, came back as the number one place where guild stuff happened, according to the survey. So that makes sense. I mean, look at our community. We're primarily run out of a Discord because we're multi
Yeah.
platform. So it would make sense that that was the number one thing that came back. And the other thing that I found pretty interesting was the fact that Rich mentioned that initially guilds were sort of intended to be a mechanical piece for markets and traders. So the social aspect is important, but the initial piece of why they were in the game or why they were thought of as a mechanic in the game was to give a location for traders and for marketing so that there wasn't like a big auction house or people
Yeah.
having to sell individually, right?
Yep.
And that makes sense. That's all kind of stuff that we knew from that aspect. But I think it's great that that initial mechanic and sort of what has developed out of guilds is why they were looking at doing this summit or why they're looking at doing things like this. It's because they want to see how people are utilizing guilds. Are people joining guilds? What's the big holdup if people aren't joining guilds, right? So there's a lot of those pieces that I think are being looked at a lot more. Um, they also mentioned that tools and things are being looked at, right, to help with guild management and to help with the overall health, is what I'll call it, of guilds. So this is all basic information. I don't want to get too crazy because again, I don't want us to be overstepping the bounds of what we're allowed to share. But what I can tell you is that they hear you. And everybody that has been talking about some of these tools that they want, like a guild finder where you can search by name, being able to talk with guild members easier, tools for running events, whether that be scavenger hunts, calendars, events, things like that, they hear you. And
Hmm.
it is being looked at, it is being talked about, and some of those what we'll call pain points that they've been mentioning on the forums when it comes to guild management or other things within the game are very, very important to them. And some things I will say now I have a bigger awareness of there being limitations on due to just the programming in the game. Um, but also, I think that there are things that they are willing to look into just from listening and being an observer from the side. There are things that they are willing to look into to try and see if they can work around some of those. I was also very surprised at some of the answers that were, yeah, you know what? We know you want that. We've actually been looking into it now for a while, but every time we try and make it happen, it sets something else on fire. And I thought that was a really nice, clear thing that Rich did a great job of conveying to us about a lot of things.
Hmm.
People have been asking for companion apps for things like that, for guild management, and just in general for the game for a long time. And it was like, yep, me too. But there's a lot more to it than that. And every time we do it, we don't want the server to set on fire. We already have problems with the servers doing what's going on right now. Like we
Yeah.
don't need to add additional fuel to the flames right now. So, you know, I think it was great that there was some transparency with that. The other thing that was really fantastic that came out of this was they did a Q&A and they allowed different GMs to upvote what they wanted to potentially have answered, things like that. But they also left that forum there. So now that is a space that other GMs can go back and look at and also add to. There were a lot of repeat questions. If I went through
Mhm.
all those Q&A questions, we'd be here for 5 hours. Like, and some of them weren't even, as bad as it sounds, pertinent to guilds, but they were still important to people. Um, One of the main things that I will touch on is the limitations to slots, whether that be 500 bank slots, 5 guilds, all of that stuff. I have a much broader awareness of how that interconnects with guild management as a whole, as well as just player management. So, um, the caps on those is not intended to be jerky. It's not intended. The cap is not there to exist to be like, nah, we just want you to have 5. Sorry about it. It's more so for the fact that let's think about like player mail, for example. When they did that last change with the player mail in the trade system, it was a big, big thing for a lot of people. But what it did was it took their storage that was potentially terabytes of data. I think the example given was that there were some players that had upwards of 50,000 mail messages stored. Can you imagine opening your mailbox in ESO and seeing 50,000 messages?
I don't even think I have that many emails in my email account.
I, right? 50,000 messages. That means that that mail storage was in like the terabyte range. It was huge. And when they changed some of the other stuff performance wise, it dropped that terabyte to like mere gigabytes. Right? So that's a huge change for the server to have to load every time for each character that's
Yep.
loading into the game.
What
So
had to
from
load the message for every login. Like it's not
that
external to
too.
your account character select. It's
No.
in your character.
Yes.
So
So like long load times? Whoa. Right?
yeah.
Like,
Sorry, we're busy loading 50,000 of your
excuse me,
undeleted
I'm
mail
loading your
messages.
50,000 mail messages that are
Yeah.
here.
I
That
wonder if
and
they're all
then
unread.
oh, ugh, I don't know. I don't know. The other thing too is when they looked at that, they looked at trade data. A majority of sales happen within the first 3 days.
Yeah.
So they were like, as annoying as it is, it's annoying for us too, but to save space and to keep the servers functioning better, it makes more sense for us to drop that time down a little bit
Yeah.
because otherwise it's working as glorified storage for people, which
30 that's
yeah,
30 slots for you to
30
store stuff for 30
slots. It's
days
30 slots, right? So it was
and
more
then it
of
gets
a
mailed back to you.
yeah, it was more of a we want this to be being utilized for the proper usage and not just to
Yeah.
store things on the side, which I do understand. Again, this gave me a whole new appreciation of this because some people play the game very differently than I play the game, and I didn't really think about those things. Um, there was a lot of talk too about like over 5 guilds. And while I understand I learned that a lot of people play this game and manage their guilds very differently than I personally play this game and perhaps than we manage our guild. Because there were people talking about, well, I run 5 guilds, and on my 5 guilds that I run, I have to drop the trials guild during certain times of year when there's no new trials coming and add the other guild because X, Y, and Z is happening, and then we have to drop that guild again and start up the Trials Guild again. And I was just like, what? I was, I was, I don't want to say I was shocked, but I was just like, okay, these people play differently than I play, and I see where they're coming from then and wanting more guilds. But I also thought that the reflecting back on the mail thing, it made sense again, right? Why 5 guilds? Imagine 5 guilds, 500 people. Every person in your guild is also in 5 guilds with 500 people. Now imagine every time they have to load that up. The spider web of information that has to go out into the servers,
Yep.
that's wild. Because it's not, again, it's not just loading you, right? It's loading how all of those things interconnect together for those guilds to function and for your 5 guilds to show and for those people's friends list 5 guilds to show and for those. So it was just like going beyond that and like really kind of diving into the server structure or the development structure of that was very interesting for
Even just
me.
the one-to-one, like you and me.
Yeah.
So when I log in, you and I share 3 guilds, I
Yep.
believe.
Yep. At
So
least
when I log
maybe
in,
4.
each of those 3 guilds has to understand that I've logged in and has to show that I'm logged in that guild each
Yep.
3 times. And
And it also
then
has to show me that you're logged in and
yeah,
your friends list that you're logged in.
and then and then it starts, so you could, like you said, I could see the spider web starting to just get, and it gets
Yep.
big real fast.
Real fast. It goes to like 25,000 connections within a second, right?
Yep.
So, yes, I do agree. It would be amazing to have more guilds, but I also now have a bit of a deeper understanding for some of this. And holy moly, wow. The other thing too is they were having some challenges with add-ons that sabotage that, right? Like think about all the add-ons that like scrape guild lists and stuff, like the people that are
Yep.
running add-ons that do guild management. All of that's happening in the background too. So imagine now trying to scrape all of those connections as well as load all that stuff server side. Like yikes. Yikes.
And
So,
those add-ons are not optimized very well either. Like they're just pulling raw data.
mhm.
So you can imagine how much load that puts on the server when those add-ons are just scraping stuff, because they're designed by add-on developers, not ZOS developers.
Mhm.
They're not set to be anything other than just get what I need and that's all I care about. I don't worry about anything
Yep.
else. If it
Yep.
breaks something else, not my problem. Where ZOS is like, if it breaks something else, we need to fix that.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Eh, I guess what I'm saying is these are some of those things that people have always had as big pain points, and I was really really glad that Rich was there to sort of give some answers within the reason of what he could give, right? And within the reason of what we're allowed to share and all of those things. So
Hmm.
I thought that that was a really really nice sort of transparency moment um with all of this. There was also a lot of things that were asked that he's like, I want to tell you, but I just can't. Like it's either too high level or watch the stream on April 10th because you're going to learn a lot more. You know, there was just a lot of stuff like that that was very he was as transparent as he could be is what
Yeah.
I'll say. My favorite thing, or one of my favorite things that we learned about, was a question that we posed to our only seekers. And we had a few things kind of in the pipeline of like, okay, if we get to ask one question, what do we want it to be? And we sort of had the like, why can't you access the guild bank from other places, which I'll get to that in a second because I think it's a fantastic answer. And then, you know, one of the other ones was, why can't we freaking hide our guild tabards with clothes? Now, we didn't get to ask this question, but it was asked multiple times, not only in text form, but also someone did ask it when they were pulled up onto the Discord stage to be able to talk. So someone was like, Tabards, Tabards, what's happening with Tabards, Rich? And Rich literally went, Tabards, and gave a big sigh. And he said, and I think this is great knowledge to have, he said, the tabard currently is basically set up like an on-off switch. When you put it in your inventory, it turns on the nameplate. And when you take it out of your inventory, it turns off the nameplate. In order for them to have to do hiding tabards or to do a lot more with that, it would have to be integrated differently into your inventory or potentially into the game in some ways. And his quote was, it's a bit of a house of cards, i.e., if we touch one thing, a lot of other things may be a challenge. Now, that wasn't to say that it's not on the radar. It was just, it's something that is important and it's something that they're looking at and they know the community wants it. But there are other things in terms of the tools and the usage pieces for guilds that I think are more prevalent or like ahead of that, right? So it wasn't a no, but it wasn't a yes either. It was just, we know, we feel you. And when this was designed, we didn't think it was necessarily gonna be maybe as big of a deal, right? Like outfits, fashion, stuff like that at the early stages of the game were probably not as prevalent as they are now. So people wanting to represent their guilds in those ways, I don't think initially was. I think they thought that the tabards were going to be important, but I don't think they realized that people would kind of want it almost like a title all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So again, it's on the radar. It is something that is important, and they're aware of that, which I thought was great.
I have to say, I do like that they are just as frustrated with some of the things as we are. And they're like, we know. And that kind of tells you that they're like, we want to fix all of these things. Some of these things, it's just not going to be possible because of how the game was developed 10 plus years ago.
Yeah,
Now, remember, this game has
you
been
don't know
out
what
for
you don't
10
know, right?
years, but the game has been in development for much longer than 10 years.
17 or 18.
Yeah. So
That's a long time.
you're
You're
almost
rolling up
talking
on
two
20 years of
decades.
development. Yeah.
2 decades of
And
development in a game that coding from 20 years ago
yeah.
probably is antiquated to the point that if they start touching it, like you said, it's a house of cards, you're going to start breaking a whole bunch of other stuff that you may never get fixed, and then you're down to rewriting something which they just don't have the ability to do, not as quickly as we want them to.
Yeah. And I found it sort of, it goes along those lines of, you know, when we first started out before One Tamriel, it was like we were making an MMO with an Elder Scrolls skin. Then we realized people actually wanted an Elder Scrolls game with an MMO skin. So they had to reverse things, right? So it's sort of that, when we originally looked at it, this was supposed to be a mechanic, not like a go-to. Or,
Yeah.
you know, now it's a, people are wanting to utilize this function differently than what the original intent perhaps was. And so it's going back and looking at it and trying to figure out, can we do that? Is it gonna work? Are we gonna break 78 things? Like, so I really, really do feel for them, because I know that there's a lot of pain points with the community that are probably pain points for them too, but in a different way as a
Yeah.
developer. And I always have had massive respect for our devs in this game. But you know, again, kind of looking at it from this side of things, like from the GM perspective, and listening to the other GMs and all those other people that were there and what was brought up was very, very interesting to me. The banker thing, I wanted to say that really quick,
Mm-hmm.
because that was one of the other points that I thought was just brilliant. So we have access to all of these things. We have access to a merchant. We have access to a banker. We have access to crafting stations. We have access to transmutes. We have, you know, the list goes on, right? Like we can redo our ultimates at our houses. All of those things that we have this massive list of things that are basically solo play style or can be done
Yep.
as a solo player. And someone was like, why the heck can I not access my guild store from a Zabi or from, you know, why can't I get to it from the merchants? Why can't I get to it from my banker? I just don't understand why the guild bank and why the guild stores are not made available instantaneously. Why is that not a thing? And Rich's answer was literally, if we gave you the opportunity to play this game without ever going into a city, would it feel alive? And it was like, oh, I never thought about that. It was like the storytelling side of things, right? Like, if you could go into your guild house and do everything from there, would you ever go to Skingrad? Like, maybe, yeah, to do dailies or whatever, but you wouldn't go out of your way to make the effort there to go into the city to list things or
Yeah.
to look at things or to pull things and remove things to and from the guild bank, right? This goes back to that mechanical piece, but it also ties into the storytelling element. They want the world to feel lived in. They want players to see other players. Yes, a
Yeah.
lot of people play this game as a single player game and there's just other people around them. But the intent is that the world feels lived in and the world feels alive. And if you give players the opportunity to do it on their own and not have to make the world feel lived in, they might do it. And I found that really, really cool. I thought that that was a great way for them to sort of hold on to the what feeling do we want from the game? We want people to see each other. We want the world to feel lived in. It's the same reason they talked about with the graphics updates for the base game zones, right? Like they have the ability now to make it feel more real and to have the textures look better. So why would they not? And it's the same thing there. And I thought that was a great answer,
It's a
you know?
fantastic way of putting it, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's
And it
one of
was
the reasons
one
why
of those things you
they
don't think
don't.
about.
Yeah, I was to say it's one of the reasons why they don't do the crafting writs as something that you can turn in a guild house, because people go to the towns to do their crafting writs. We all go to Skingrad to do our crafting writs. Like that's where people go, and you go there and you look in the zone chat, and people are selling stuff that they've earned. That they're like, you could just go put it in a store, but you put it in a store, you got to wait 14 days and you got to pay a down payment on it. But if I could sell it in zone chat, I'm gonna get more money and I get to talk to different people. So
Yeah. It encourages some player interaction in many ways, even if it's not, maybe it's not speaking in chat, or maybe it's not, you know, being in a Discord, but the player interaction is there where you see another human, right?
mhm.
And you go by another person on their mount, or you go by someone else who's porting in at the way shrine, or you're standing at the way shrine and people are dueling and you want to punch them in the head, but that's okay because you just, you know, are dealing with it.
You wander
Or
into Skingrad and there's a
you
bunch of dead
you
bodies
you
everywhere.
wander and there's dead bodies all around the way shrine and you're like, what happened here? Right? There's so many things that make the world feel alive that if we did some of these things that unfortunately seem like would be a wonderful quality of life piece, they actually take away from the game a little bit. And I think those are sometimes the things that we don't always think about as the consumer or as the player, but that the development team and the storytelling team and the people who want to keep the IP a certain way do look at and feel. And sometimes it can be frustrating for the player, but it's very much intentional. And
Yeah.
not that that was eye-opening, but again, it's one of those things where when you're looking at it from the perspective of tools and usage and convenience, because really that's what it is convenience, it changes your outlook when you step back and look at it from the other side a little bit. And I think that was a nice sort of transparent way to be able to learn about some of those things. So the summit was really good. There was I took 8 pages of notes. Like so good.
So many notes.
So many notes. I don't think I stopped typing for 3 hours. It was wild. It was wild. So we did the little thing with Rich, and then there was also breakout sessions. There was some really nice networking done. There was a good discussion on Guild 101, which they brought in a lot of seasoned guild leaders for. Um, and I thought that was great. They talked a little bit as well about different guild events, which was fantastic. A lot of guilds came in and shared sort of like there were some guild leaders who literally asked the question, I don't know how to keep people engaged. What do you do to keep people engaged? Or I've tried to do this sort of a sign up for an event and it's just not working and I'm getting frustrated and I don't want to stop running my guild, but I want to know what do other guilds do to maintain engagement? Things like that. And I thought that the community as a whole did great coming together and sort of answering those questions for each other, which was wonderful. There was also a guild recruitment fair that's coming. That's going to be happening next week. It's actually in the main Elder Scrolls Online Discord. So if you are a person that happens to be listening to this and you don't have a home guild, there were guilds represented from all over the world, international guilds, NA, EU, different platforms. So many different things were represented by those 260-ish, 300 people that were at that actual summit. So please, 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 if you're interested in finding a home, like go in there and look at the guild recruitment fair. They also have been doing stuff on social media this week because there's been a focus on guilds and sort of driving that and that sort of content. So there are some endeavors related to guilds as well as I know I did one for us. We did like a little blurb that's like your guild, your interests, your platforms, what your primary language is, and then there you could put a little blurb about yourself underneath. We did one for the Loreseekers as well. So keep an eye out on social media for those. You can actually go to their chain of socials and see some of the different ones that have been posted by the different groups. So it was a great, great time. And as they share more or as people are allowed to share more, I would say then maybe we'll share some more stuff. But I just wanted to touch on a few things, but not get too crazy, as well as leave things to them so that we weren't speaking for them in many ways,
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was cool. Oh man, I need a drink of water before I do.
Well, I was gonna say, let's do.
Lord.
I've edited the notes.
I see you moved them. Thank you.
Yeah. So speaking to continue our trend with guilds and guild stuff, we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that is going on in our different guilds across all the different mega servers. So we're gonna break down a few of the larger events that our community does on their different mega servers. So we've got PCNA, we've got PlayStation NA, and I've got some stuff from the PC EU servers as well. So with the PCNA, we do have a PvP event. It's stuff that rotates between Lady Fancy's Feet, Courting Onyx, and myself, Toasted Peanut. We do those on Sundays. So you can find... I should actually lead this with... All of these events are coming right out of the events calendar and signups channels in the Discord. So if you are listening to this, you're in the Elder Scrolls... you're in the Loreseekers Discord. You can head over to the event channel of your platform that you play on, and you can find some of the current events. Now, there are a couple different communities that are not represented, and this is just due to the fact that we don't have many events running on those communities right now. But if you are interested in starting an event on any of the mega servers, please reach out to one of the officers in the community or on your mega server, and we can look to try to get something started in some way, shape, or form for you. So PCNA, we've got the rotating PvP with Lady Fancy Feet, Courting Onyx, and myself. We have a World Event Tuesday, which is on Tuesdays, with Rusty and Rose. And in that one they're completing delves, sky shards, and world bosses. Plus, you're going to get some skill points for doing some of the group delves. We've also got a newer event that's just started up in the last couple months here, and it's the Hide and Seek with Jimmy Tui, the Tamriel edition. So pretty self-explanatory. It's a big old game of hide and seek, following the rules from the YouTube series Hide and Seek that is out there. And yeah, that's one that's available for sign up as well. And they're doing that on Saturdays. There are a few other events. We have a Wednesday event with Rose as well that has to do with running around and doing world bosses and world bosses, sky shards, and POIs. So if you're somebody who likes to complete those maps, great events to go and do that on for the PCNA side of things. We'll jump over to PlayStation. We have on PSNA, we've got Monday Mayhem with Moki, and it's basically fishing with a little bit of mayhem. So there might be a little bit of killing, there might be a little bit of dueling, might be a little bit of cliff jumping, who knows? But it's a little bit of mayhem with a whole lot of fishing. So PSNA we have Treacherous Tuesdays with who does Treacherous Tuesdays? Is that Gwen?
No one. The guild.
No one.
Everyone.
The guild does Treacherous
No guild
Tuesdays.
leader. So basically what Treacherous Tuesdays is on PlayStation is we encourage anybody to group up. We used to have time slots for groups, and then we realized, that doesn't always work for everybody. So it's just a day that we encourage each other to get together, run dungeons for achievements, run the dailies, run whatever you need. And we call it Treacherous Tuesdays just because it sounds fun.
And it's the alliteration, the TTs.
Yeah. That's actually what the Snug podcast stemmed out of, was Treacherous Tuesday.
There you go. Fantastic. I love it. So there you go. If you're on PSNA and you're looking for some stuff to do, you've got Monday Mayhem, you've got Treacherous Tuesdays, and then you've also got Undaunted Fridays with Arthuria Dragoon, and those are the Undaunted daily pledges, and they will do multiple groups as players join in. They also do the daily delve as well from the quest giver. So really good opportunity to get some skill points, get some different locations unlocked and learned. So lots of really, really fun things to do for the PSNA side of things. On the PCEU mega server, they've got World Boss Wednesday with Dralian, and that is one zone, all the world bosses and the sky shards. I believe they might also hit up some of the POIs as well. But again, another really good event if you're looking to just get some completion done in a zone. Those World Boss Wednesday events, which we do, Rose has done that on Wednesdays, a part of it. It's a really great way to get things unlocked, especially if you're doing stories or having to do your scribing and you need to move from different areas. Opening those way shrines makes it a lot easier than having to run between different locations. There's Dungeon Thrill Thursdays with Forby, hitting all the dungeons that you possibly can. So probably very similar to the Undaunted Fridays. It's just doing Undaunted dungeons. And then PCEU also has Casual Trials with the one and only Sparky Bagman. Learn trials and explore the different trials that are live in Tamriel without the pressure of perfection. So if you're somebody on the PCEU side of things, or the PCNA, because we have something similar as well on the NA side, and you're wanting to learn trials, but without the pressure of, am I good enough for a trial? This is a great way to start and get your feet in it and figure it out. And then there's also on the PCEU, they host a Discord event for Lore Tavern, and it's the last Sunday of each month with Aramithius, and they talk, you guessed it, lore, all the lore that you possibly can. And they also welcome new topics of conversation. So if you're somebody who's looking for some deeper information, it's a great time to just sit down with a bunch of like-minded individuals and just discuss the deep webbed intricacies of lore that the Elder Scrolls franchise has to offer. So it's a really good conversation piece, whether you're partaking in the actual conversation or just sitting in the channel lurking. You'll learn a whole bunch of stuff and you'll sit there with your head swirling with knowledge. There's some depth that they go down sometimes that is just, I wouldn't have even been able to put these two things together and brought that in. And that was how I felt actually with a lot of the stuff we did for the, what is it? What did we just finish? What was the series?
The Sermons of Vivek.
Thank
the
you.
36. Yeah, the
36 lessons of Vivek. There were some parallels that were drawn in that conversation that I was just like, what?
You went, oh.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's we listed under EU because primarily our EU lore seekers are like our majorly like lore brain people. Like I won't say primarily, we have a lot of lore brains in every platform. Oh man, I went blurry.
Yeah, I know you're good now.
I'm good now. But I would say like it sort of stemmed with that group of people, with Aramithius and Dre and some of those other people, Happy and whatnot, that were in that lore tavern, and it's a multi-platform thing. So if you're in our Discord, you can come into that channel. It's not
Mm-hmm.
hosted only on EU. It is for everybody. So please, that is one of the things that has been going on for a very long time in the Lore Seekers,
Yeah.
and is really, really fun. You learn a lot. Like, don't feel like because you don't know the lore, you can't be in there. Um, it is intended to be a learning thing and a discussion thing.
Yep.
And I have found that anybody who steps into the lore tavern, it doesn't matter what your knowledge level is, you will leave learning something new, or
Yep.
you will leave potentially with a question that you asked being answered, which I think is amazing. There are a lot of people who have said that they did not know a lot of the lore before going to some of those, and I think that's great. And we're always open to the topic. Like, we've changed the topic actually on the fly before, not the ones that we did for our live streams, but some of the other ones that existed before that.
Mm-hmm.
We've changed the topic on the fly. It'll be like, oh, we're talking about this, and then suddenly we're talking about her scene, or I don't know, we just like kind of squirrel wherever the topic goes, and I think that's
Yeah.
fantastic because it shows truly how the lore is interconnected and how things work. So it's a multi-platform event. It started, I would say, I don't exactly know for sure, but I think it started with our EU lore seekers and just sort of expanded out from there, and I love that. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that it's our whole lore family together, which is great.
And that being said, too, like with any of the stuff that goes on within the Discord, too, if you see people just sitting in a chat channel in the Discord, by all means, jump in there. We don't bite, especially if you see myself or Bacon sitting in one of the chats. Feel free to pop in, come say hello. If we're in a place where we're not wanting to converse, we usually don't sit in Discord. So if we're in a Discord, we're totally fine to converse.
Yep.
So pop
And
in, say hello.
sometimes I just sit in there if you need a buddy. Like, I've had
Mm.
people pop in who don't say anything to me. They just
Yep.
come in and they're muted and they just hang out there. And sometimes
Yep.
it's just nice to know that there's another person existing in the same space as you. And I'm totally fine. And I think we're totally fine being that for people as well. So please know that that's what part of being in a guild is. It's being able to be there for people. And if you ever just need to be present with someone but aren't comfortable talking, don't have a mic. That's the other thing. Like, sometimes people are in
That's
the
a
Discord and
huge
they're like,
one.
I use it on mobile. I don't have a mic. That's totally fine. Just sitting there, hang out. I don't care. Sometimes I screen share stuff. Like, around Christmas time, I was sharing some tavern ambience with some fire music, fire crackling, and some game music. So, like, if you see us there, you see us sharing a screen, you see us hanging out, you don't have to say two things to us. You can just pop right in.
Yep.
And if you feel like leaving a message or you feel like talking, great. And if not, we're still there. So
Yeah. I just want to take that and go with or just lead into the fact we do have a new channel in our Discord called Tonal Loot. So
yeah.
I want to just pull attention to that. That channel is literally for listening to music, and you'll find me in there periodically with just the Bard bot. And I don't listen to Elder Scrolls music all the time, but usually just have some kind of ambience in there. So by all means, like, if you see me in the Tonal Loot channel, jump in, say hello or not, and just lurk. Like, totally fine with you just kind of hanging out in there and listen to the tunes that I've got there, add something to the playlist by all means. So it's there. It's there for you guys to use. And if you just want to listen to some music in a Discord and just play ESO or study or whatever you want to do, by all means use that channel. Like, our Discord is for you to use and have fun with and meet different people. So never feel afraid to drop in and just lurk in any of our audio channels. Someone might say hello to you. You don't have to reply if you don't want to. That's totally fine. No one's going to be upset if you don't. So, by all means, please feel free to join in any of those channels. So, and join in on any of the many events that we have running too. By all means, if you're not sure, you're not familiar with an event or what's needed for it, message the event lead. You can send them a mail message in game. If you don't want to send them a Discord message, send them a message in game. All of our event leads are very active on ESO. So chances are they're going to see your message within 24 or 48 hours of you sending them something. So, or
And if
ask in the general chat.
Yeah, or message one of us too. We're
Mm-hmm.
always open and available to you. If we can get back to you as soon as we can, we will.
Yeah.
Sometimes real life first. Like that is always what our thing in Lore Seekers is. Real life comes first, but um, you know, it sort of parallels guild life in many ways sometimes. So
Yep.
know that if our notifications are on and we're available to be able to talk with people, we're more than happy to do it. Or just like we said, just lurk. It's fine too.
Yep. Fantastic. So yeah,
Yeah.
on the note of the final note here that I'll give out for the guild events and announcements is, if you are interested in leading an event on any of the platforms that we are on, which is PC NA, PC EU, Xbox NA, PS NA, and then I do believe we have a couple people on the EU side of the platforms, though it's not the most. There's not a lot of people, and there's not really a whole lot of activity on that side. There's a couple people, but if you're one of those people that's over there and you have like 4 or 5 people that are with you in Loreseekers on that EU side of the console platforms, and you're interested in starting an event, please just let us know so that we can support you and make sure that your event is posted and provide you with all the tools that you need to be the successful leader that we want you to be. Just message us if you're interested in starting an event on any of the platforms, and we will connect you with somebody or support you to get you started in whatever way we can. But we're definitely not afraid to try new things, and we welcome new events, new ideas, new thoughts for the different things we do. Enough of me talking. I'm done talking now. Now we're going to go to the fun stuff. I'm going to mute my mic. Oh, Bacon's saying 1 second. 1 second. Take a drink of water. Okay, taking a drink of water.
I have had this terrible sort of tickle or something happening in my throat now, and I think it's because there's lots of pollen around at the moment.
Ooh.
Yeah. So let's hope I get through this without any big, I don't know, sneezes or something. I'm not sure.
Absolutely love it. All right, I'm going to mute my mic. The stage is yours. Take us into a wonderful lore story for this episode.
For the guilds and for the lore. Things were beginning to wind down behind the warm, candle-filled windows. The open room smelled of parchment, ale, and wood smoke. For hours, all sorts of men and myrrh had been frequenting the cozy hearth, comfy chairs, tankard-stained tables, and dark corners of the unknown traveler's tavern. The clanking of goblets and silverware had finally begun to settle, and what was once a loud roar of vocals mixed with music had become just a small crackle of flame in the hearth, with a few voices and some gentle music that was starting to fade. The recruitment for the guild had been going well, it seemed. Today had been an opportunity for us to meet those potentially interested in becoming members of our diverse family, and we were wiped out from all of the socializing. Drinks had been flowing, on us, of course, and the atmosphere had been charged with tales of exploration, kills, and treasures sought. Okay, Bacon, how do you think we did? And how many did we actually get today? Peanut said. He looked across the bar at me, waiting for me to pull out the box filled with papers that we had potentially received from those who had been interested. We had spent quite a bit of time underground in the cold stone halls of the Scholarium lately, and the warmth of the tavern was a much-needed respite. Well, I guess now is as good a moment as any to look, I said, pulling out the small key that would unlock the lid. There'd been a small spot to shove paper through, and a lock placed on the box so that no one else could remove someone else's interest. I'm hoping we did pretty well. I mean, we left parchments at just about every way shrine, every city nearby. Seemed like people were having fun and genuinely interested in wanting to become part of what we stand for. A loud click signaled that we were about to find out our fate. I'll take the first one, Toasty said, as he carried the box over to the 2 large chairs that were splitting the hearth. We both sat down and put our feet up. Okay, here we go. I watched as his eyes went from excited to slightly glossy. What? What is it? I said, eager to know what was on the paper. He sighed as he read the response. Thanks, but no thanks. Behind the bar smells like rot meth and false hope. You guys should really find more time to pick battles and not read books. Thanks for the ale, though. Signed, Bogrish Gerfin. I shook my head and stared into the fire. Ugh. That orc. Leaves of Yffrey. I hope they aren't all like that. I'll take the next one. Over an hour later, both of us sat with our heads in our hands. I had slid down to the floor with my back against my chair, and there was parchment strewn all over the floor. Toasty was at least still in his chair, but was leaning forward with his head hanging. At this point, he had crumpled up most of the papers and was just tossing them into the hearth without looking, about once every 5 minutes or so. May as well use them for kindling if they aren't going to be used for anything else, he said. Out of all those, I can't believe there was literally only a handful of adventurers that were just out for free drinks and some leads on delves and what might yield the most gold. I tossed an acorn up and down in my palm while sitting leaned and listening to the satisfyingly small thump of it hitting my palm every time I caught it. The hour was getting late, and the tavern had now mostly cleared, except for one semi-private table and a booth in the corner. On it sat one lone flickering candle and some stains from a mug. The light of the candle only began to pick up the deep, bright green of the eyes of its inhabitant's face. Black hair fell from slightly over the figure's shoulder, covering the rest of her face temporarily. The rest of her features were too difficult to make out at the moment, especially with her shifting to lean back into the shadow of the booth's corner. Every once in a while, a slight glow would emanate from the corner, sometimes in a soft blue and sometimes in a soft green. Eventually, I could finally see the shape of the side of her face within that glow occasionally. A strong jawline and feminine features were present. She was Dunmer. My Nightblade senses were tingling, and I had been hearing the scratch of ink on parchment for some time now. I attempted to wave it off as hope, but felt a draw to remove myself from the floor, in case the mysterious Dunmer made herself known. Toasty had started rambling in the background about how much we probably spent on food and drink today, but I was trying to tune him out for a brief moment to see if I could make out a bit more about the stranger. I can't believe we only managed to nab a few interested folks out of all the people who frequented the tavern today. I mean, I don't feel like we asked too much. We haven't even fully reestablished the reliquary or anything. He finally noticed the change in my eyes and threw the piece of crumpled parchment in his hand at me. What? What is it? I finally broke my eye contact with the corner booth and stared directly into his face. I said nothing, but gave him the "did you really just do that" look that he had come to know so well during our time adventuring together across Tamriel. What's going on? I brought my gaze back to the booth, but now it was empty. I stood up quickly and made my way over to the corner. The booth sat empty, but a small piece of parchment remained. I handed it to Toasty. Throughout Necrum's dark halls, the priest's footsteps are heard. They welcome visitors to their ancestors' home. To wander catacombs, don't fear, you're not alone. Your ancestors and priests will remind you. Life's end sets your spirit free with nary an exception, so honor your forebears with every breath. You should ask no boons unless ill-pressed, lest mortal chill should come, and seek Necrum to commune with death. Below it, it said, "Meet me where the ribs meet the sea." To Necrum we go again, he said. Let's hope this time it's filled with a lot less tentacles. I shook my head. Hey, at least we know a few arcanists that can save our hides. A few days later, we found ourselves walking down the great stairs and towards the docks at the base of the city of Necrum. Great curved rocks, echoing the shape of ribs, blocked out portions of the sun and threw shadows onto some of the market stalls just off the docks. Calls of silt striders echoed off the turquoise waters, and the sounds of merchants unloading their ships hummed in the background. Toasty and I stopped by the dock at the base of the stairs, near a large ship that was peacefully bobbing up and down. The green-eyed Dunmer was nowhere to be found. We waited for a while, and eventually the flick of a small triangular rune into the water next to us caught our attention. It appeared to come from a balcony above us. Looking into the sun, we saw the outline of a female Dunmer against the walls of an enclave up top. Jogging for the door, we entered the emissary's enclave. Upon entering the home, we noticed that it was distinctively empty. From another room, we heard the door close and then a woman's voice. Years ago, tribunal priests requested a Necrom-based residence for an emissary and their staff. Today, this expansive home, with scenic terraces, is privately owned and seeks a caretaker. No one seems to have done that yet, so I use it for meetings now and again. We followed her voice and found her in one of the small side rooms. She was leaning against a wall at the top of some stairs, with a lightning staff nearby. The Dunmer had a certain draw to her. She was wearing bright green armor and leathers, and gave off a confidence that we hadn't seen since last meeting Sadre and Rora. Maybe it was an Arcanist quirk. Does she give you Major Morag Tong vibes? Toasty said under his breath, leaning down towards my ear. Yeah, she reminds me of someone, but I don't think she is Morag Tong, I said, while walking slowly up the stairs beside him. Her tone softened once we approached the top, closer to her. Glad you made it. I was hoping you'd figure it out, she smirked. I know you've worked with some others I'm familiar with. Those other two Arcanists have crossed my paths a few times, though one tends to be a bit stuffy. Anyway, that's beside the point. I've brought you here because I know what your guild looks for. And I don't mean for your tavern. I mean what it actually looks for. Such as? Toasty questioned. Knowledge, lost texts, artifacts of great value. You know, all the things that the tavern houses for you right under the noses of your patrons. Well, aren't you clever? I said, smirking and looking over my shoulder to make sure we weren't about to be ambushed. Don't worry, there's no one else here. I tend to work alone or with a few select others, which is why I actually sought you out. Found a few things that I thought might be of interest to you. Plus, I have nowhere to store them at the moment. Figured your operation would be as good as any. I noticed the bookshelf and the scrapes on your floor at the tavern. Most wouldn't notice it or remember it, but I tend to remember everything that I observe. I'm betting you have somewhere to keep these safe. Follow me. We walked cautiously behind her, into the small room that lied off the stairs. Tiles glittered and lit candles left a slight fog in the air of the room we walked inside. Dacorns, those are beautiful, I said, taking a deep breath. Sitting before us on a small table were 3 beautifully wrapped and bound books. I've come across these while traveling. All of them relate to the Elder Scrolls themselves, and one relates to Topal the Pilot, I think. I walked over and placed my hands on the covers of each of the books slowly. They were each distinct in color and texture. You could tell that they had been bound with care. First one, I think, is probably the most interesting. Ever heard of the Udhendra Nibanu? I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure that it might relate, she said. I cracked open the cover, and inside was just one lone page. The Pilot's Purchase. 3rd ship, manned by Pilot Topal, came to the village along the river, where it met the sea and the stars. Stores were low, as was morale, especially so when 2-legged reptiles came forth from the village, fleet of foot, with weapons ready and hideous speech in their mouths. But Topal did not falter, and by, some words were exchanged, though, not full understanding. And the clever pilot did exchange valuables for supplies. Among these was a bauble. The 2-legged reptiles did not need and did give away a scroll of vellum with strange inscriptions, which the ship's enchanter said was of great value, though the crew knew not why. When it was added to the stores, the crew asked, "Why are there so many of these scrolls in the ship's hold? What is their purpose?" The enchanter would not answer and only said, to bring aboard all they could find, which they did. Toasty looked at me and began asking internal questions out loud. Wait. So that means that Topal might have gotten some Elder Scrolls from Argonians? Is there any more? No, just enough to make you think, our new friend said with a smirk. I reached towards the second book. That one may describe one of the origins of the Order of the Ancestor Moth, but you know how texts are. They may only be one way of looking at the past. She folded her arms and dropped her head a bit while I read. Sorrow, death, and song. Chains defined us. Some wore them around their wrists, holding our strength in check and bent to task. For some, the chains wound round the mind, grim knowledge of what would happen to friends, husbands, mothers if they acted out of step. But always surrounding us, binding us, constraining us. We looked up from our chains to the tower that stood proud, defiant above us all, built by us, bricks fit by us, not for us, for our masters atop their stone. Within the tower, they had secrets beyond counting, most beyond us, most withheld from us. But in some few small chambers, we came to be the masters of the world without light. These rooms were all the same. They were as dark as moonlit night, gems glittering in the mosaics along the walls. Heated from below, rich with sound of water, and centered by a tree. Filling the chamber were moths, in the air on every surface, whorls and clouds of insects. Each one bore 3 eyes along its wing, and in the quiet you could hear them singing quietly to one another. Our masters gathered the great scrolls, grew the twisted trees, tended the moths with eyes upon their wings, and so learned great secrets, learned how to master the world. Where they learned these things, we were never told. Perhaps the moths themselves whispered aloud the ways when the world was still young. At first, we were permitted only the basest of tasks in these sacred spaces, to feed the moths, to clear the litter, but we could hear the songs. And from the songs, we learned to tease the silk from the larva, and such beautiful things we did spin. As time wore on, our masters began to see value in our understanding. The moths liked us more than our masters. And the scrolls, the moths, the trees, they demanded so much. Why should they bear that burden when we could instead? The moth tenders were taught the secrets of their charges, to center themselves amidst the song, to channel it as the masters did so that the scrolls could be interpreted. Though it cost sight and sanity, the secrets entrusted to us were beyond counting. And quietly, ever so carefully, did we make the secrets our own. Clippings from the tree, larvae from the moths, fragments of the scrolls, all this and more we did spirit away from these chambers. In dark hollows across the land, we began to tend to our own glades. When the chains were broken, and the Lady of Heaven rose up against the masters, many of the chambers in that defiant tower burned. Many trees were lost, many moths, even some scrolls. Without us, the tenders, the songs and secrets of the moths may have been lost forever. Remember this, then, that you are the latest link in a line that stretches back to time out of memory, a line made of sorrow, death, and song. Edible, I whispered. What might have happened if everything had remained in the tower? A chill ran through me. So many with more than sight lost. Our new friend walked over and touched the cover of the last book, her fingers dancing across it. I reached for the book. No. She put her hand on top of mine. Before this one, I want your word. You will keep these safe. I want in, but I want a guarantee that anything that I bring you will be kept from harm, and that I may be able to access it when needed. I'm also available as a guide. I rarely forget anywhere I've been. My knowledge may come to be of use to you all one day. All you need to do is ask, Toasty replied with a kind smile and a hand out. She glanced down at his hand and nodded rather than taking it. Then it's settled. I look forward to many evenings in the safety of your friendship and the comforts of the tavern. She dropped her chin and gave me a slight smirk and a small flash of her teeth between her lips. Here you go, then. This one involves the Great Eye, which is why I've brought you here. I knew you'd figure out exactly where I was from your previous travels. I've been following you two for quite some time and waiting for the right time to bring you these. Hermamora and the Moth. Every day, the moth would alight atop the canticle tree to drink the dew and welcome in the day. For 3 years, she did this without worry or bother, meeting the sun as it rose in the sky and reveling in all that was well in the world. Then one day, as she settled to rest in the tallest boughs of her tree, she saw she was not alone. An unblinking hourglass eye peered back at her from the place where the sun should be. The moth had been taught to be polite by her dam and sire, and so she greeted the great eye, saying, "Fivefold venerations to you this day, O Prince of Fate. Why have you come to the top of my tree?" And the great eye stirred himself then, harumphing and wheezing and saying, "I have come to ask you to sing me your secret songs and teach me the ways of your eclipse. For the words that you sing are of great value to one such as I." And the moth, who had been told by her dam and sire never to teach another the secret songs or the ways of her eclipse, slowly beat her wings and thought before saying, "There are 8 different ways to learn the secret songs, O Prince of Fate. But do you truly come to learn the words that we sing? Or have you come to learn the words so that you may learn the furens of the souls we shepherd?" The great eye harumphed and strained, and the world grew dark around the moth. So great was his anger, and his words took long moments to come. "You are very brave, little moth. But you are right. I wish to learn the words you sing so that I may learn the furens of the souls you shepherd. For though I can see the many threads of fate that weave this world and all worlds, together I cannot see what you see upon the scrolls." The moth gathered herself and let go a deep breath and held herself very still because she feared this would be the last thing she ever did, and she did not want to get it wrong. And then she spoke and said, 16 times you have my apologies then, O Prince of Fate, for my sire and dam forbade me teach one such as you the secret songs or the ways of my eclipse. But if you will forgive me and let me go on my way, you will do me and my dam and sire and the whole of my eclipse a great honor. And in your honor, we will wear your eyes upon our wings for all of the time to show the world that though the Prince of Fate does not know the words we sing or the furens of the souls we shepherd, he is a wise and kind and mighty lord that need not strike down one as small as I over a slight as small as this. And the great eye then harumphed and strained, and the world grew even darker. And in the darkness, the moth saw tendrils and eyes and things moving in the dark that was not night. And she grew afraid, but she did not show it. And she held herself very still, because if this was the last thing she did not want to get it wrong. And by the darkness fell away, and the tendrils receded, and she found herself looking up again into the bright light of the sun. And from a great distance, she heard the voice of the great eye. "You have done well, little moth. Your dam and sire have taught you well. I accept your bargain and meet it well. If you and your dam and sire and the whole of your eclipse will wear my eyes upon your wings for all of time, consider this a contract given and a contract signed." And the moth breathed a deep sigh of relief, and she fluttered her wings to return to her sire and dam and the whole of her eclipse, for she had given her word. And every moth that perches atop the canticle tree to drink the dew and welcome in the day has kept that contract for every day since. Having been in his realm, I have an appreciation for the bravery of this little moth. I've only ever heard stories of Daedra wanting to claim scrolls for their own trophies, not actual sources of knowledge. Toasty hovered over the book with me, and both of us had been completely drawn into its pages. We both started to stand up to address the Dunmer. "I don't think we ever got your name," Toasty said, lifting his head. The enclave was silent. "Hello?" I called out. "Hello? Hello?" The dark elf had vanished. No crackle from her staff, and no footsteps to be heard. We both looked at each other and began to grab the books to throw into our packs gently. "I told you she reminded me of the Morag Tong," he said. "Well, let's not stick around and find out if she actually is," I said, scanning the room and the stairs that lay down the hall towards the doors to the enclave. "I'm sure she'll find us when she wants to." A small giggle could be heard as the doors to the terrace of the enclave creaked open above us. "For the guild and for the lore," we heard her say over her shoulder, followed by the loud thud of them closing. Woo!
Nicely done.
Why not? Throw another Arcanist into the mix.
Let's throw another Arcanist into the mix.
Sure.
Love it. Well done.
Sure. So, that character is based a little bit on Minwee Pro's Arcanist. Thank you, Dre. That makes me feel so good. Yay! Yeah. So that one was based on Minwee Pro's Arcanist, who actually is based a little bit on Naryu. So that's why I wanted to throw in some of the jabs a little bit at the Morag Tong and sort of have her be like slightly mysterious, and we don't really learn her name and things like that. But I thought it might be fun to integrate a character that's not yours or mine, but also not necessarily like one that's a known NPC into the game yet. And I really, really enjoyed those new Loremaster things on the Elder Scrolls and on, Topol, and sort of kind of this background on a little bit more learning about some of the history of the scrolls and how they're taken care of. And, we have an Elder Scroll in the new dungeon, so I thought it was pretty cool to get a little bit more of that sort of squeezed in here. The last time I did a lesson with Elder Scrolls, and it was when we had White Strakes last year. I think it was last year. And I accidentally wandered into the Temple of the Ancestor Moth when we were up there doing scouting missions. So that stemmed that. But I really liked this Loremaster's archive, and I liked some of the stuff in it. And I didn't even use it all. There's another one that's like, how are Elder Scrolls named? And it's just... it's almost gibberish. Like, it's almost incomprehensible what the answer is. And I was like, I can't put that one in. That one's too much. But I really, really liked the other 3 readings, and I wanted to try and incorporate them in. But I was like, well, how can I connect these? What can I do? And I thought, yeah, what if somebody brings them to us? What if somebody finds these texts that nobody has seen yet, and they're special, and they want them to be taken care of? And then I was like, working on it last night and kind of hemming and hawing over things. And Minwee was like, well, why don't you, he goes, you haven't started to write yet, right? And I'm like, no. And literally before he was like, I'm out for the night, he goes, what if you like did something on like guilds, like on the guild stuff? Because the summit just happened and like there's guild recruitment going on. Like, what if you worked that in somehow? And I was like, So he gave me a little bit. He gave me a little bit of like, uh-oh. And then it was suddenly 3 a.m. and I was doing research and writing things and, doing all sorts of different stuff. And I thought, well, he gave me the idea. I asked him, I said, does your character have a backstory? And he said, no, not really. Like, I have an idea, but I haven't really written it. And I said, I'll take good care of her, but can I use her? And he's like, yes. And I said, I will not write backstory for her. I won't do anything like that, but I'm going to use her for something and I'm going to see where it goes. And he was like, go for it. So he fully trusted me with it. And I thought that was awesome. So, but yeah, just a nice way to sort of bring someone else into the story who we may or may not see again. Who knows? And then also to sort of tie it into the fact that we have this tavern, but you and I also know that there's other things and other history that's behind the scenes of the tavern. And to have someone be like, yeah, I know what you're doing. Other people might not know what you're doing, but I know what you're doing. And I've been following you for a while, and you may not know it, but I know it, right? Like, I thought that was kind of a fun sort of little RP element to bring back in. So.
Oh, it was perfect.
Thanks. It was a fun one to write. And it kind of just, as weird as it sounds, that one was a little buttery. Like, it just kind of came out. Once I started writing, I went, okay. And it just sort of presented itself because I knew how I wanted to integrate the texts and how I wanted to do stuff. So I really, really liked that one. I can't wait to sort of mess with this one with some music and maybe some sound effects and some other stuff. So it'll be fun.
I'm excited to hear the final edit with all the music and sound effects.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
What happens. Awesome. Well, it is that time of the episode where the bard starts playing his song. Everyone starts weeping because it's the end. It's the end of an episode. So thank you everyone for being here. It's always good to be in the tavern with you all and hanging out and enjoying your company and just seeing all the names pop through the chat, which is always just an absolute blast. If you are joining us for the very first time, first off, welcome, and we hope to get to know you more. You can follow us on many different areas of social media, starting with Twitch here, where we are live for our episode. The LoreSeekersESO is the Twitch handle that you can go to. You can also follow us on X, formerly Twitter, at LoreSeekersESO. You can also find us on Blue Sky, LoreSeekersESO, and we are there along with many other Elder Scrolls content creators, as well as the Elder Scrolls Online themselves. They are there now on Blue Sky, posting and being present over there. You can also send us an email at loreseekercast@gmail.com. Pardon me. We would love to hear from you. We never get emails. No one ever emails us.
That's our original.
That is the
original
OG
podcast email.
It's still going strong. So if you're a returning OG lore seeker and you want to send us an email and tell us how great we are or how terrible we are, we would love to hear from you. I don't care what you send us. Yeah. Those other two hooligans.
What happened to those other two guys? They were better than these two.
I'm an OG lore seeker and I want the OG.
We welcome it. It's okay. We love you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Please send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. And we might even, if we can do it, we might even actually consider reading your email live here on the show to talk a little bit about things that people have to say. So we're always looking for things to talk about. Bacon, where can people find you, madame? In the
comforts of the tavern, hugging a plushy sweet roll. No, you can find me a couple different places. You can find me on my own personal Twitch channel occasionally, but mostly I stream on the Loreseekers channel, but it's at Gone Crazy Back Soon. You can also find me on X. Wow, I had a bit of a whoa there for a second. I had a reboot. Sorry. You can find me on. I think so. I don't know what happened, but you can find me on X at Katie Stunt Show. That one's a little bit different just because of how old the handle is, but you can also notice that it will say Gone Crazy Back Soon there and has all my info for Lore Seekers, so you know it's me. Beyond that, you can find me in even more Elder Scrolls Discords now, because after the Guild Summit, I'm in a lot more of them. So yeah, you can find me in Discords at Gone Crazy Back Soon. Pretty much in a ton of creator Discords, different content creators, our Lore Seekers Discord, of course, the official Elder Scrolls Discord. I'm probably someplace that you are, so you can find me. And you can also find me either on our PC, my PC NA account, or on my PlayStation account at Gone Crazy Back SN due to character limits, just like Toasty. I almost said toasted bacon. What? Toasted peanut? No, that was weird. No. I was looking at you and saying, no. Okay.
Moving on.
Toasted peanut said earlier. I don't know. Don't look at me like that. Where do they find you? I'm muting.
Well, you can find Toasted Peanut spelled with a 3. You can find me personally on Twitch, where I stream a variety of games, including the Elder Scrolls Online, twitch.tv/Toasted Peanut. Again, Peanut spelled with a 3. You can find me on X, formerly Twitter, at Toasted Peanut spelled with a 3 instead of an E. And you can find me on Discord at Toasted Peanut. Again, Peanut spelled with a 3 instead of an E. And you can also find me on Blue Sky with the same handle at Toasted Peanut. So I am over there.
Me too.
I do exist.
Me too. I forgot.
Yeah. If you would like to join the Lore Seekers because you showed up in our episode on either the podcast or you've been lurking in the background of the Twitch stream, you can head on over to loreseekers.club for the invite link to the community. Just fill out the questionnaire. It's quite simple. There's 6 questions. Answer those 6 questions, and so long as you have answered them satisfactory, we will invite you into the Discord to come join our community and be a part of the shenanigans that is the Lore Seekers, going on 7 years. 7 years of Lore Seekers.
We're not going on. We are.
We are. We are. Yeah. Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah.
No, moving on.
Our
7th birthday.
7th birthday was in February.
I know. Sorry. Yes, we are not going on 7 years. We are 7 years going on 8 years.
There it is.
That makes sense. So
Wow.
don't forget to give us
We
a
do
5-star review.
We do this good.
We do. What's the money one? What's the? I don't even know.
Things for free.
Don't pay things for free. Remember, don't pay things for free.
or free.
Don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. It helps us become more and more visible within the podcasting community, and it brings people to the guild. For every 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, we will share it live on the show, as well as any comments left on our Spotify episodes. We like to share those on the show as well. And don't forget, on Spotify, answer those questions. We love to hear your guys' feedback and results. So,
what? Creatio program, everyone? I don't know.
Creatio program.
Creatio program.
Sure. We'll go with it. Whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Those of you guys that are still here on the Twitch stream, hang tight for just a moment. We're going to wrap up the recorded podcast section, and then we've got some after recording stuff for you. Thank you again for being here. You guys have been absolutely fantastic, and we look forward to seeing you in the tavern again in the future. Remember, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you next time.
Dilly freaking dilly.
And open up your Audacity.
Stop.
Ready?
Oh, I already stopped it. Sorry.
Okay, done. Ready? File. Save.
He was saying we're in the creator program. That's what.
We probably could have mentioned that.
We could have mentioned that. That's all right. We'll get it next time.
Thank you for the reminding, Draylin. Awesome. Okay, I need to exit out of Audition before my computer explodes.
Oh
cool.
No! Don't
It won't explode. Don't worry.
So
we are going to go and raid somebody again. So just while I have the rest of you here, thank you very much for being here, everyone, for keeping us entertained and making us feel like we have friends, which is important. We have friends, and they're here in the channel along with other people. But I can say this now because we're not recording anymore. So, who do we want to raid?
Hold on. I don't
Ninja?
know who's live. Wait.
We got Ninja Monkey. We got who's live right now? Raghor, Ninja Monkey, and Okayui. Madigon's live playing Guild Wars.
Oh yeah, let's try and send somebody to an ESO stream.
Go to. You want to find a onesie, a lone streamer?
We can. Hold on. Let's open up the ESO thing here. We got Savvy Snapdragon. We got Ninja Monkey, Okui. Let's go with Have we ever raided Savvy? I would say Savvy or Ninja. I met Savvy in Vegas.
See the Savvy one. You know what? Let's go right into they're doing a trial right now. Actually, looks like they're doing the Arthurian Archive.
Let's do it. Let's go see.
Let's go raid them.
Savvy Snap.
Gonna go right in. So those of you guys that are here in the chat, again, thank you for being here. Stay with us for a minute while we go show some good old Lore Seekers love to Savvy Snapdragon. And we will see you guys next time. Take her easy. Enjoy. Toodaloo.
Thank you all.
Thank you for being here. You can't see me. They can't. They can't hear you. Stop it. Dash, stop. Oh, don't talk like that about our chat. My goodness, Nathan. You can't hear you. Oh, I forgot the at. The valid username. What are you talking about? Mod mode won't let me do it. Correct. I copy pasted. It's 1V. S-A-V-Y, capital S-A-V-Y, capital S-N-A-P, lowercase D-R-A-G-O-N. I know, weird. Snapdragon, period.
Everybody go join the raid. We love you. Go show some love.